will say it again. Nobody is coming to save you. Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. That's a good quote. And it makes sense in our world today for the following reason. There is what some call a superorganism dynamic going on in the world today. Others call it like the machine, the mega machine, Moloch-y dynamics, zero-sum games. That's like in the game theoretic language. There is something going on, and many people intuit this. They think, what the fuck? The default mode of human life right now, today, in this particular moment in human history, is awful, even though we're some of the richest, some of the most privileged societies that have ever lived. And I don't mean that in the like toxic woke sense. I mean it literally. We are so well off relative to our ancestors that it's insane. And yet, despite being so rich and well off, we're no better off in terms of our felt sense of well-being. Our experience of life is still awful. So it's like, why, during the time in human history when we are the richest we've ever been, is there such a preponderance of mental health issues, for example? That's just one question. And there's a useful graph here actually to frame this and to better understand where we are in human history. And it's the graph that puts energy per capita, and it graphs it against the felt sense of well-being as reported by the individual. And from 0 to 100 gigajoules per capita, so 0 to 100 gigajoules of energy per individual human being in a population, there's a massive increase, like huge increase in the felt sense of well-being as reported by that individual. But beyond 100 gigajoules per capita, it plateaus, the felt sense of well-being. So that kind of helps make sense of why it is that despite being in the most energy abundant, rich periods in human history, we're still fairly awful. Another point that would help make sense of that is the following. We humans are quite fickle, and there is within us a recalibration mechanism that recalibrates our baseline of what it is we expect in the world. So, for example, if you're born in a weird country, Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic country, then you are privileged in the sense that you're fairly well off relative to other people alive right now in, say, the global south, and relative to your ancestors back in the day. And yet, despite being well off relative to these other people, you don't get the felt experience of being massively more well off than these other people, the people in the global south and your relatives, or your ancestors back in the day. That's because your baseline has been recalibrated. And so, because you have clean water, good food, a warm house, a warm bed at night, that's now your baseline. And anything below that is considered a loss. Anything above it is, it feels good. But that baseline now determines what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad. So when it comes to taking care of yourself, you can recalibrate that baseline, and you can make it such that the small things in life, like a chicken, a well-cooked, tasty, juicy, garlicky chicken, makes you feel great. Or sitting in the sun, having the sun on your skin, in April, feels great. These things actually make me feel good because I've reduced my baseline. And coming back to that graph that I mentioned at the start of this video, reducing your baseline in terms of your energy requirements, say. At first, people think, what? No, we can't reduce our energy consumption because then we're going to go back to the medieval period and it's going to be awful. No, that graph suggests otherwise. We can actually reel it back into 100 gigajoules per capita and still feel great. So, for the individual who's seeking to feel good in this world despite the superorganism, mega machine, Moloch dynamics, zero-sum game dynamics going on. You can do this for yourself. You can, quite stoically, take back some control. Pushka! Good girl. You can take back, you can re-empower yourself and consider what is in your domain of control or your domain of competence that you can change for the better. So you can lower your baseline and thereby feel great with the little pleasures in life, like the sun on your skin and a good chicken for lunch.